we just got one of the best dev updates that Overwatch has ever seen. Not just because of the content that's dropping, but also because of the implications based on what the devs have been talking about for what the future of the game might look like. How's it going, everyone? I'm Coach Tickety, and today we're going to be talking about the One Punch Man collab, all the matchmaking updates, and of course the game balance changes that just dropped on us. But before jumping in, I want to remind you guys that if you're really looking to improve your play, you should head over to GameLeap.com. Over there, you'll find hundreds of guides and more being added every single week made by our top level coaches. And the information in these videos is really in depth. This is usually stuff you'd only find by booking private coaching sessions with really high level coaches. And I know what you're thinking, you've heard this before, is it really worth it? Should I really sign up for a membership? Well, here's the deal. This month only, we're running a 50% discount on your membership, so you may as well try it out, see if it's for you, see if these tips can help you improve, and go from there. So use that code you just saw on screen and click the link below to get your membership started. Let's start by talking about the new cosmetics hitting the shop. We've got skins for Doomfist, Genji, and Kiriko modeled after Saitama, Genos, and Terrible Tornado Tatsumaki from One Punch Man. I think these look amazing. These are fantastic skins, and it's really cool to see more collabs going on in the game. We haven't seen anything like this since Lego Bastion, so this is really awesome to see. In addition to those skins in the shop, you can also unlock Moomin Rider Soldier 76 for free just by playing the game during this event. You just need to play 24 games before April 6th, and you will unlock Moomin Rider Soldier, as well as a bunch of other cosmetics for free. I'm really happy to see that these challenges only include playing the game itself. All you have to do is play the game. You don't need to win games. You don't need to play specific game modes. Just play the game and you'll earn them for free. I think this is fantastic. During the dev stream, art director Dion Rogers also gave us some insight on how cosmetics and collaborations like this might look in the future. So one of the things they talked about, which I thought was really interesting, is that the approach that they're taking with these skins isn't to try and turn these heroes into their counterparts in the One Punch Man universe, but they're almost acting as if Doomfist, Genji, and Kiriko and Soldier are cosplaying as these characters, implying that One Punch Man exists in the Overwatch universe and these characters are apparently fans. What I love about this approach is that it keeps a lot of competitive integrity in the game. You're not going to be questioning what characters are on the enemy team just by looking at them, since their models and their silhouettes are basically going to be the same, just with a little added flair from the skins. So even though we might not be able to fully immerse ourselves as these heroes, this is very important to maintain that visual clarity that's important for keeping up with information in a fast-paced game of Overwatch. And the best part about all of this is that this is just the beginning. This is just opening the door to potential collaborations between Overwatch and other universes. So even if you're not the biggest One Punch Man fan, this should still get you excited, because again, this is just the beginning. Who knows what's going to come next? Who knows what's going to come in the next couple of years for Overwatch? We might see tons of new collaborations, and we might even see Overwatch cast members joining other games. Can you imagine if we got someone like Tracer into another game like Super Smash Bros? I think I would lose my mind. This is really exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for more content development in Overwatch. And since we're talking about cosmetics, it's also worth noting that all the new Overwatch League skins have now entered the shop. All the new updated models for Overwatch 2 and all the new team brandings are now available for purchase. So go check them out, go spend all those tokens you've been saving up, and show some support for your favorite team. Alright, moving on to some matchmaking updates. If all you've done is read the posted patch notes, you're probably going to be pretty in the dark, because all they posted there is that they're making matchmaking better for groups, they're reducing queue times for unranked players, and they're hoping to increase the overall match quality, whatever that means. There's been a lot of recent outcry about poor matchmaking and games not feeling fair in Overwatch 2. A lot of people are getting dragged into games that they frankly don't belong in, and in general there's just a huge skill discrepancy across teammates whenever you're queuing into a game. I've seen bronze players playing with plat lobbies, and I've seen diamond players being pulled into top 500 lobbies. This is happening all over the place. If you're really interested in learning more about Overwatch 2's matchmaking system, I would highly recommend checking out the dev blog for yourself. They talk for a while, but they go pretty in depth and offer some good insights and anecdotes about their time working on the matchmaker, as well as share their vision for where they want it to be in the future. But the whole blog itself was about 2 hours long, so here's the TLDR. They talked about seeing good results and having good progress on their new Role Delta system, which is their new matchmaking system they introduced this season, which matches players according to their role and their MMR rating against an equivalent player on the enemy team. So if you have a diamond and a plat level DPS on your team, they should have a diamond and plat level DPS on the enemy team as well. It checks each role and tries to match them up accordingly. Personally, I've been calling this the Nemesis system just for clarity there. You have someone on the enemy team who is your nemesis, who should be roughly the same skill level as you, and if you can outplay them, that should impact your game well. The devs also talked about the way they iterate on their matchmaking changes. They like to make a lot of small experimental changes, and in their simulations they find good results, but they're also very transparent about understanding that once it hits live servers, they don't always get the results they're expecting. So they're making a lot of changes, week by week changes internally, and trying to get the best results every time. They also made it pretty clear that their number one priority moving forward is to make matches feel as fair or high quality as possible. This is fantastic to hear because in the past they've talked about things being mathematically fair or trying to minimize queue times and stuff like that, and that's only done things but hurt the matchmaking experience. So hopefully with their focus on high quality matches, we'll be seeing less of those issues like huge skill discrepancies and things like that. And that was pretty much most of what they talked about during the dev stream. But one of the things they actually mentioned kind of in passing that I got really excited about was that they have an internal roadmap that leads 1 to 2 years into the future. So they've got big plans coming, they've got big sweeping changes they want to make, but like I said, this requires experimentation. They're not exactly sure what every repercussion of every change is going to look like, so we have to do things step by step, and I'm hoping that with all these changes moving forward, while we might have some dips, it's going to be a positive experience for everyone involved. And just as another reminder for the matchmaking changes coming next season, rank decay will be removed in season 4, so we don't need to worry about queuing into our first games and needing to reclimb to our actual rank at the start of every season. You can just focus on playing the game. So like I mentioned at the start, I don't know how much of this information is actually exciting right now. It's going to be hard to tell what these changes look like until we get some good games in, until we can really feel the differences over an extended period of time, but just knowing that they've got big plans in the future and they're planning on regular release of experimental changes so they can gauge their progress rapidly is really exciting stuff to me. We should see a very healthy matchmaking system in no time if they're able to keep up with this schedule. Alright, let's get to the fun stuff, the balance updates, the changes to the game itself. Before we break down all the different hero changes, first some general stuff. There's going to be some visual changes in the game that you'll notice, nothing massive though that you need to worry about. They're updating the way footsteps are going to work in the game, so make sure you're turning your headphones up, you can hear those flankers behind you. They're making some updates to the weekly and daily challenges, and they're going to be easier to track visually. And of course, what everyone's been asking for, we're getting a season of competitive mystery heroes starting on March 14th. So if mystery heroes is your jam, maybe try taking it to competitive. To be honest, I'm kind of low-key excited for competitive mystery heroes. I'm not going to grind it out or anything or play for top 500 leaderboard, but this is definitely more exciting than the age-old capture the flag modes they've been introducing. Alright, let's get into the individual hero changes. There's quite a few of these, and they're not massive changes by any means, they're kind of just balanced tweaks, but they're worth knowing in case your favorite hero got changed in some way, just so you don't get caught out by surprise. Alright, starting off with Orisa. You can now Sombra hack her ultimate and it'll cancel it, so that's cool. It's not really a buff for Sombra in a meaningful way, but at least if you're playing Sombra against an Orisa, now you can go for this interaction. Nothing massive, but maybe Sombra becomes a counterpick to Orisa, but I doubt it. Next, Ramatra, his ultimate Annihilation will refresh his bonus armor if he's already in Nemesis form when he casts it. This is something I was hoping to see the moment he was released because it's such a clunky thing to take yourself out of Nemesis form just so you can get some bonus armor when you re-enter it with your ultimate. Just a nice quality of life change. This should have been in the game from day one. Roadhog has his hook cooldown reduced by 2 seconds, but not actually 2 seconds because now the timer won't start until the end of the hook instead of at the start of it like before. Hog still doesn't have his one shot anymore, so it's hard to call this a massive change for him. If he did still have that one shot, this would be game breaking, but this will definitely be nice for Roadhog players, especially on those maps with environmental kill potential. Next up, Wrecking Ball. They made some changes to the sensitivity settings for Ball. You can now change your sensitivity specifically for when you're rolling around, kind of similar to how you can change your scoped in sensitivity on Widowmaker, Ashe, or Ana. This is just nice quality of life things, especially for controller players, I imagine, to help maximize your control while you're moving around. And his mines got nerfed. His arming time for his mines are now down to 1.25 seconds as opposed to 1 second, and before that it was 1.5 seconds before he got recently buffed, so he's kind of in a middle ground here. It's still going to feel strong, but it's going to be a little bit less oppressive to get mines dropped on your head. Zarya is getting the cooldowns on her bubbles reduced by 1 second, which is actually really nice for Zarya. The problem here is that Zarya is still a bit of a niche hero. She works best when she's countering an enemy tank like a D.Va or maybe even an Orisa, or she's comboing with aggressive DPS members, or if she's cleansing anti-healing effects with her bubbles defensively. Other than those situations, it's hard to see Zarya as being a strong pick in most games, but this is going to make her nicer to play, and it's going to help her maximize her bubble uptime, which is always going to be a good thing for Zarya players. Moving on to our DPS, for Ashe, Bob will now prioritize the targets that Ashe damages with her gun. So this is, if you didn't know, actually this is how Torb turret and Sim turrets work. If Sim or Torb damages a target, their turret will automatically start shooting at that target if it's in line of sight to the turret. Now Bob just works the same way. Honestly, I didn't know this wasn't in the game. I kind of assumed this was the same way as turrets, but now nice to know that Ashe can help get some extra follow-up damage from her trusty Omnic companion. Hanzo's getting his lunge cooldown reduced by 1 second. This is his mid-air jump. This is nice, but not really anything meaningful. It should just add a little bit of extra mobility to Hanzo players. Mei's ult cast time of her Blizzard is going to be faster by 0.1 seconds. This is literally nothing. It's just you're going to avoid some shenanigan moments where your ult got cancelled when you think you got it off. This is going to make those situations go away more often. Pharah's getting a bit of an interesting change this patch. Her jump jet movements, the initial boost upwards, will be influenced by your directional input. So if you're pressing a directional key, if you're moving in a certain direction, you will now boost slightly towards that direction while also moving quickly up into the air. This is not nearly as strong as Echo's movement, which people might compare it to. That's a huge burst of speed in any direction you want. This is just a light tilt in left or right, forward or back, based on what direction you're pressing. The most use I think you'll get out of this is when you're already in midair and you don't have the ability to use your concussion blast to move closer to cover, so maybe you can use your shift in midair instead to get around a corner or somewhere safer. People have been asking for a Sojourn nerf for a long time now, and we finally got one, just probably not one you guys were expecting. Her torso hitbox is being increased by 20%. Sojourn is now officially 20% thicker. This should definitely make dueling Sojourn feel a lot better, but it's going to take a while to gauge whether or not this change is going to be meaningful enough or if Sojourn's still going to feel very oppressive to play against. And last on the list, the only support to get updated in this patch is Baptiste, who got a huge change to his immortality field. The threshold for health maintained when people are under the effects of his immortality field is now changed to 25% of their max HP, when previously it was just 10 HP flat. This won't mean too much for your average 200 HP DPS or support hero, who will be now locked at 50 HP instead of 10 HP. Still nicer, but still basically a one-shot. But for tanks, imagine a 625 HP Rhine. At 25% of his max HP, he's above 150 health still. That's very manageable, especially if he's using his shield well, and you can easily heal that back up, where before, if Rhine's down to 10 HP, that's going to be very hard to stabilize. I already think Baptiste has been a bit of a sleeper pick this season. He's a very strong hero who offers a lot to pretty much any composition, and now this buff to his immortality field should make him feel maybe even stronger than Kiriko these days. Despite Suzu being much more versatile on a shorter cooldown, now Immortality Field doesn't feel as bad to use as often because you'll be saving people and stabilizing much quicker. And that's it for the hero changes this patch. Nothing huge like I mentioned, nothing game-changing here. Keep in mind this is a mid-season patch. They want to save the bigger stuff, the game-changing level stuff between seasons, so this is just a nice little update to get some heroes back in line where they might be a little bit too strong or a little bit too weak. But let me know what you guys think. What do you like about these updates to the heroes? Are you excited for the One Punch Man skins? Are you excited to see where the matchmaking system takes us in the future? Who knows what's going to happen next? Keep in mind, this is just the beginning, like I mentioned. All of these changes show very good trends for the game. We've got collabs happening in the future probably, we've got a long roadmap for competitive matchmaking updates, and even though the hero changes weren't massive, this shows good pacing for the dev team. They're keeping up with these regular updates. I think where they're pushing the game is very good. I think the game's in a very healthy state right now, and these changes only make that better, so I'm hoping to see more of these changes come through. I'm fine with light updates as long as the game is healthy. And the biggest thing that's making it unhealthy right now, in my opinion, is the matchmaking system, and they covered that too. So I've got no problems with this update personally. I think, like I said, this is one of the best updates we've ever seen for the game, not just because of these light changes, but because of the precedent that Blizzard is setting for themselves. I think this is fantastic, and I can't wait to see more. And if these changes get you excited to play the game, but you're looking for a little bit of competitive edge when it comes to improving, you should head over to GameLeap.com. Over on the site, you will find hundreds of videos designed by top-level coaches, with more being added every single week. These are super in-depth, and they'll cover everything from the fundamentals of the game to in-depth, step-by-step hero courses to help you master your given hero pick. So if you're serious about improving and you really want to rank up this season, check out the link below this video, or just head over to GameLeap.com and get your membership started today. That's going to be it for me today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.